Nice. I think it's working. I think it's recording.
Great
Hey,
stuff, though,
Sam.
Ryan.
Hey, how are you?
Very good. Thank you. How are you?
Great, thanks. We had this chat just a few minutes ago, so I don't want to repeat too much. But you mentioned that you've got an injury at the moment.
We've broken the fourth wall now, Ryan.
Yeah.
What's called fourth wall? Yeah, no, I tore my ACL a few weeks ago, so I'm deep in the rehab on that. That's the main focus on my mind right now.
And how's it going?
Good, positive, making strength gains every single week. Very focused on recovery and learning about how to optimize my recovery better. So, yeah, generally positive.
Happy days. And if you don't mind me asking, are you used to is this a position you're used to being, or is this one of your first injuries?
Yeah, this is my first well, it's not my first major injury. I've had a few injuries that would take me out for a few months, but this is my first time having surgery and having to rehab from the surgery as well. So it's it's a new experience, but I think it happened at a good time, to be honest.
Other areas of life you looking to prioritize, or?
No, I'm still just doing jiu-jitsu, but I'm just more reflective, I just got to kind of sit and watch for a bit and kind of think about myself and people around me as well and how to optimize the training more. So yeah.
Great, great. And I was chatting to I told my mum that you're going to be on the podcast this week, and she was reminding me back to the time where I think we were away on a hotel, doing a
Yeah.
trip when we were younger, and I think it was good fun. She remembers us in our dressing gowns. So
Ah, that was
yeah,
I remember our primary school youth.
yeah. And how did you? Yeah, I remember when, because for any listener, myself and Sam went to primary school together, and because BJJ, if you're growing up, was that a thing, or in primary school, were you into BJJ, or?
No, not till I got into transition year. So when I was 16 in secondary school, that's when I started. It was judo in school, but then I wanted to keep up doing something like that, and then I found jiu-jitsu, and since then I did nothing else.
Yeah, I remember when you were in primary school, you're always very adventurous. You're always into on different. I just recall a number
Yeah,
of different things.
all sorts of weird different things. Yeah, thankfully I focused my mind and just got on one thing.
Was
Um,
that a conscious decision, if you know what I'm asking? Were you looking to focus on? Were you looking to have one thing in your life, or?
no, no, not at all. I don't know. I just enjoyed the process of playing a sport that's you know combat related, skill related, and
Yeah,
yeah, just honestly, I became obsessed, and I still am. So
and you went to an Irish speaking school as well, Down.
yeah, I went to Clutch down, so I still have a little bit of Gaeilge left in me.
Yeah, did they have BJJ in Clush, like a team of BJJ in Down, or is it?
No, no. So I suppose you remember. I presume you did transition, Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember the way there's all those different modules, like I don't know what you had in your school, but like did things like cooking and all sorts of different things. One of them for us in transition year was judo. So when I tried the judo, I was like, "Ooh, I really like this. I want to keep this up." But at the time, there was no judo on the south side of Dublin, basically near anything. So I found jujitsu, and then that was close enough. So I started doing that, and then just basically from there, I was hooked. So
yeah. It says, hope you don't mind me reading out. I did a bit of research before we came
nice.
on. Irish BJJ black belts, born November 1994. Team East Coast Jiu Jitsu Academy, ECJJA, rank black belt under Dara O'Connell. Is that how you pronounce the second name? Or?
Connell, yeah.
Oh, no, excuse me. Weight class 66 kg, featherweight. I'd love to know, when you started the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, what drew you to it initially, and what drew you to judo initially?
Um, Interesting question. I don't know, to be honest. It was more so just that I was fairly unathletic and small and didn't really have any form of sports that I necessarily enjoyed. So I think probably at that age I had a desire for some form of exercise that was, interesting, but also jiu-jitsu is such a skill-based sport. It's very similar to something like chess, or it involves a lot, and it's involves a lot of like strategy and thinking. Um, so I think that just kind of pulled me in that aspect of it as well. And at the time, there was no like a big major worldwide. Well, there was like obviously a worldwide grappling scene, but now there's like a professional scene. At the time there was no like professional scene. It was more so just like people who were doing it for fun, or some people who had like their own gyms or something. Or obviously people who did MMA, and then just over the years it progressed. So now it's a more kind of formalized global professional sport.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like my godson recently started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it seems like it's taken over Ireland anyway. It seems to be everywhere, popping up and around the UK.
Yeah, it's getting very, very popular. So I'm glad at that.
And I'd love to know, when you started initially, did you find it easy or challenging?
I suppose easy and challenging together. It was more so just like stimulating. It was such a novel stimulus to try and learn something that you're completely, just you're completely new to, and also that it's like physical, because obviously at the time I was like a skinny little scrawny child. So trying to come to terms with someone else's, like, obviously physically trying to grapple with someone being small, and then having to be strategic and figure out like a skill based approach, just I don't know, just twigged me, just got me in the right way.
And were you grappling people with different weights, different heights, or is it someone your size? Or
No, yeah, different weights, different heights, everything. So in competitions, you can do both your weight division, which is like something like you read out there is like 66 kilos, um, or you can also do open weight classes. So that's always combined. So when I was younger, I used to do this. I don't do it so much now because obviously it's a risk of injury. But when I was younger, I used to always do the open weight divisions, and you could be fighting people who are like 120 kilos. I did before a good few times when I was like 60 or 70, like 60-ish kilos. I'm fighting somebody who's 120, like literally double my weight. That was always fun.
well, you mentioned it's quite a strategic sport. So was your approach to a 120 kilo person versus a 70 kilo or 60 kilo person different? Very different, or?
Yeah, you have to adapt slightly to obviously try to play to your own strengths to a degree. But also in competitions and stuff, there's points and all. So it's not necessarily that you just have to submit the person always. It's obviously the goal, but there's points and things like that allow you to win. So it's it's a little bit like, I don't know, like chess or something. Kind of it's skill based.
Yeah, brilliant. And it just says, I just go on it, want to go over your major achievements. Hope you don't mind.
Go for it. You're at bjheroes.com. Yeah.
No. You see, what year, transition year would have been 2000, and so you're born in 1994. Transition year would have been 2011.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 2011. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then it says here your first major achievement was 2022. So that's 10 years on. That must have been a lot of work since when you
Yeah.
started to a 10-year point.
Oh yes, yeah. So like the first time I ever had any kind of like major international success was in 2022. Now, up until then, obviously, I still competed and trained a lot. And since I was basically 19, I've trained full time, like every day, twice a day, But until then, on like a kind of a global stage, I had never had a breakout performance until 2022.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. And did it take you 10 years to get, I think it's the ranks are in belts. So for someone that maybe doesn't know anything about BJJ, would they go from, it's a white belt, is it, to a black belt? And
Yeah, it's white to black belt, and there's like two kind of things. There's jujitsu, which is like where you wear like a karate suit kind of thing, and you have a belt, and then there's submission grappling as well. So submission grappling is you just wear shorts and a t-shirt, and that's kind of like closer to something you might see in the UFC, and the tournaments are different as well. So the kind of like most people who would hear about something related to jiu-jitsu now would hear about like it's called nogi or submission grappling. So those would be where you'd see like kind of more famous stars, or if you watch like the UFC have their own jiu-jitsu league now as well and stuff like that, and that's all just shorts and a t-shirt, just like wrestling, submission wrestling.
and is there different types of BJJ as well, or is there jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, or is
Ryan,
it
I
just?
lost your microphone there for a second.
No worries. Is it okay? Am I back?
Still can't hear you. Can you hear me? You can hear me, yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Wait. Go again?
Hello, Sam.
Okay, 1 second. A little bit of a technical error. Hold up.
1 sec.
Sound output Mac speakers. Okay. No, on my end, I can
That's on
hear
me, I think. 1 sec. That's my
things,
Bluetooth.
but I can't hear you. Yeah, my speakers are working. Could it be that your input is off?
Yeah, I think it's my input. I'm just trying to give me a sec.
I still can't hear you. We have a chat. Can I edit this one out?
1 sec.
Are you on a MacBook, Ryan?
Yeah.
So if you go into settings, sound, and then you can look at output and input, you can just confirm that your input is the microphone.
Perfect. 1 sec. Is it working now, or is it okay? Is it back?
Nope, I still can't hear you.
1 sec. What about now?
We're
Is
back.
it good?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're back.
Perfect.
Okay,
Brilliant.
good.
Sorry about that, Sam. My fault.
Yeah, we're good.
I'd love to know, is there different types of jiu-jitsu? Is Brazilian jiu-jitsu different, or?
For the most part, like what you see in the mainstream, it's like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like the popular thing. I think there is different types of martial arts that are under the name Jiu-Jitsu, but like I don't know, they're not that popular. It's like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu dominates everything. It's the kind of like family who came up with like BJJ also invented the UFC, and that's what
Okay.
popularized it globally. So that was in 1990, whatever. I don't know what year it was.
It's the Gracie family. They're from
Gracie
their
family,
yeah. They're based out of Brazil. They're Brazilian brothers, I think, is it? Or
it was a big family of people. There was a lot of
oh
kids.
wow.
Yes, I think
And
your man who kind of came up with it had like 20 odd children or something.
no way.
Yeah.
And did the brother come to? Did someone come to Ireland set it up, or was it the UK, or is it like?
I don't know who was the first black belt in Ireland. I'm not sure. I think it might have been. I actually think it might have been John Kavanagh, Conor McGregor's coach.
Okay.
Probably would have learned from DVDs and maybe traveled to the States as well. I think that's kind of the origin of it in Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But we were mentioning about different belts as well before we get the audio cut off. So you went from a white belt to a black belt within a 10-year window, or did it take you sooner? Was it 5 years, or was it 3 years?
Oh,
Or
I can't remember what age did I get my black. I think I was 23, so I was probably maybe like 7 years or so. I think the average amount of time is 12 usually for people. So
okay.
what was it, the weekend before last? I gave out a few black belts, and I think those people have been training for probably on average like 10 to 12 years for the most part. But obviously, if you're competing or training all the time, you might get it quicker.
Yeah. You were saying you were doing twice a day, the 7 days a week?
Not on Sundays.
Okay. Sundays you take a rest.
Yeah, and then probably once on a Saturday. But the rest of the time, like depending on the time of year, I could be training 2 or 3 times a day. It's scheduled around like when the competition seasons are and what specific competitions are happening.
Were you doing, if I'm asking, were you doing competitions while you were working up your belts? Were there competitions for certain people that are white belts, competitions for people
Yeah,
that are black belts? And
yeah. So there's generally competitions that are divided by like experience or by belt level, and then there's some competitions as well where anyone can enter. So like the biggest competition I've ever done, it's called the ADCC, and that's just like an open trial competition. So you can just there's in each weight division there's 8 people invited, and then there's 8 people that qualify from qualifiers that are hosted around the world. So I won one of the European qualifiers for that before, and that's like all belts combined. Anyone can do it. And then obviously there's also like the more formal jiu-jitsu competitions where it's like you have to have a certain belt and you have to have a certain ranking as well. So you have to win a certain number of like smaller tournaments to have enough points to be able to enter into the majors to keep the talent pool fresh.
Wow. And how many people? It says, excuse me, my brain's because one part of me is thinking about the. You said because you came first place in the ADCC. Was that in European trials in 2022? Is that correct in saying?
Yes.
Or
Yeah. So that's probably what you're reading on the internet there.
yeah. And it was from people around the world, so anyone could join. This
Yeah.
is
So those kind of things are done. It's done by continent, obviously. So it's like Europe and the Middle East and like kind of Russia and all those kind of places can enter those trials. And there's trials like North America, South America, and then that combines all people together into one large tournament of people represented globally. So yeah, there's like tournaments like that, but then there's also tournaments that are like divided by belt and ranking. So
yeah, wow. And was that in Ireland or was that in the European
the
trials?
the European trial, I think it was in Poland. It was
Okay,
Poland.
wow.
The main tournament was in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh no way. The European trials were in Las Vegas.
Now the World
Okay.
Championships, the one that you
Sorry,
have to
excuse
qualify
me.
for.
Was that in 2022 as well, or?
That was 2022. Yeah.
Oh wow, so you went back to back. It says, sorry, excuse me, I'm just in 2022 you won the ADCC European trials. You were first place. And you qualified for the ADCC Worlds, and in 2022 you won the IBJJF European Open, and you came third place, black belts. And then in 2023 you won the IBJJF Opens in London, Dublin, multiple gold medals. And in 2024 you won the Polaris Grapple Fest, etc. Consistently active. Is that correct, or am I just that's?
Some of it you said backwards, but
Excuse me.
yes.
Sorry.
Some of them are like medals. Like I was on a podium or something. I got second or third for some of those tournaments, and some of them I won as well. But yeah, active competitor would definitely be correct.
Yeah. And when you got your black belts 7 years in, was that something was becoming it's because it sounds like you're elite, you're at world, like in the world elite when it comes to BJJ. Would I be correct in saying that, or?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, like definitely with some of the achievements here. I'm sorry, just for no one's listening, if no one's doesn't know much about BJJ or those achievements are just seems like that must take its toll on the mind and body to prepare for something like that.
Oh yeah, big time. Like right now I'm out with an ACL tear, but all in all, I wouldn't trade it for anything else. It's better than having a real job.
Yeah. And also styles and strengths, highly strategic and a cerebral grappler, strong in leg locks, arm drags to back takes, back control, and NRC finishes, often matches up well against both professional grinders and submission hunters. Competes in no-gi and gi, though more renowned recently for no-gi success.
Yeah, that's about accurate. Whoever writes that, I think that guy updates it quite frequently. I kind of want to actually look at that profile.
You can send him an email.
I think it's like one guy who just like runs this website where he just like ranks and organizes athletes.
Oh no way.
But yeah, that sounds about right to me.
And why is nogi? You said it says renowned recently for nogi success versus gi. Is that something that you specialize in, or?
It's something I train a lot more. It's kind of more common. Most things you get paid for are going to be nogi, so it's like more widely watched globally, and there's like just generally more demand for people to compete in it. So it kind of it's the more like popular sport at the moment.
And what I'd love to know as well, your reputation, considered one of Europe's smartest competitors in his division. Do you have specific? You mentioned for you, it's a game of chess, very strategic. Do you have specific tools? Because you mentioned you're in the gym training sometimes 3 times a day coming up to competition. Are you doing things outside the gym for lack of a better term, for your strategy and your mental edge over the competitors, or?
Yeah, I try and study a little bit and whatnot, but for the most part, I'm trying to be like personally innovative in terms of what I'm doing. So like, obviously, if someone's listening to this, they don't know anything about jiu-jitsu. It is just like it has like trends, and I'm trying to think of something comparable where you might see other sports that like have certain trends of athletes doing certain things or strategies. So like trying to innovate and be at the cutting edge of the trends is generally where the most successful competitors are. So I do try and pay attention to this to come up with obviously strategies and techniques that are novel in the competitive environment. And outside of that as well, obviously strength and conditioning is huge too, just for longevity. So I enjoy going to the gym now. Well, I don't always enjoy it, but I certainly do it anyways.
And was there a turning point do you started S&C when did you start S&C when you were achieving your different belts, or did you start S&C once you got to the black belt?
I started like training, like weight training when I was probably like 18 or 19, but I never took it very seriously until I started competing at like a kind of more world-class level, just because I realized obviously that ticking the boxes of being a good athlete is the foundation of being a good athlete, which involves good strength and conditioning. So that's something I try and focus on a lot now, just because physical preparedness makes a massive difference in terms of your ability not only to compete but to sustain competing for a long period of time, just because overall muscle mass and density is a key for longevity in life in general, and especially in sports at a professional level, because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, and did you have a coach back then, or did you just use programs from your own research?
I've always had different coaches for F&C for the most part, especially for like just learning more technical parts of lifting. Now I have, so actually my wife has a first class honors degree in health and performance science. So she has a good base for helping me design a lot of the training that I do, with like a scientific input so that it's not just silly. But for like actual learning lifting technique, I've pretty much up until like probably the last few years where I'm more confident in my ability to look after myself, I would have had like just a coach right next to me to help me lift properly, because learning to do it right is key for not get injured.
Yeah, definitely. And I know I'm kind of going on quite a bit here about S&C, but I'm curious because just from other sports, and if someone's listening from maybe that plays a different sport to BJJ, could be any that come to mind. I'm just wondering, when you started improving your S&C, did you notice direct correlations to improvements in BJJ?
Yeah, well, like just training capacity went up so much more. Just being more aerobically fit means you can spend more time training at a sustained pace. Like that's one thing. And obviously being physically stronger and having more muscle mass does reduce injuries a lot more than otherwise. In terms of competing, obviously like competing is a physical and a mental sport. So you're not necessarily doing a huge amount of mental preparation when you're hoisting weights, although it does help in terms of feeling confident that you can sustain a pace in a competition and whatnot. But yeah, I definitely notice a lot that the physical preparation just makes a massive difference in terms of like training capacity, energy, obviously looking after nutrition as well. And like it's all just like very basic tick the box athletic criteria to satisfy. But this is I think it's just oftentimes overlooked. You just don't realize it until you do it, and they're like, why haven't I been doing this and take this more seriously for longer?
Yeah, yeah. And I'd love to know as well, you mentioned that it says Europe's smartest competitor in his division, known for breaking down matches and tactics in post-fight analysis. Is that something that you've always done, or even when you were achieving that 10 years or 7 year to get your black belts, or just when you started winning on an elite level?
Oh no, I've always done that. I've always tried to be analytical about the my approach to learning the sport per se. I think, yeah, just obviously everyone views things differently, so trying to make the most of your perspective and essentially optimizing your understanding of any given sport, but specifically for me in terms of grappling, makes a big difference just in terms of knowing that you're going to have different people competing against you, and if you can have an awareness of what their general strategy or understanding is, it lets you be more prepared per se. So I'm definitely an advocate for that. Now I'm not obsessive over it either, because obviously I always feel like you got to be self-expressive, and you do you sometimes as well. But being being clued in helps.
Yeah, yeah, and do you use? I like that line as well. Sort of being included in helps. And do you find that gives you an advantage over other people? Do you notice that they also do an analysis post fight, or is it kind of?
At a certain level, like all of the content is recorded online, so like almost every time I compete, it's going to be streamed somewhere. So it's a kind of a disadvantage the more notoriety you gain, because more people can study you then. Uh, would be kind of my only comment on that. But yeah, it's definitely very common for people to know kind of what the general emphasis people put on different positions or techniques are going to be. So
Yeah, and you do you record your training as well, if you don't mind me asking, or is it just the fights?
sometimes I record it, but not that often. During training, if I'm training hard, I'm just trying to focus on making sure that I'm doing the training I need to do, as opposed to focusing a camera. I do have like lots of footage of me training, but I'm not necessarily training, watching myself, breaking it down, then going back over it again. Although maybe I should, who knows?
And very well regarded in the East Coast Jiu-Jitsu scene, training under Ireland's top coach, Dara O'Connell, also coach to international student Tom Halpin.
That is, I don't. So that guy Tommy doesn't train, and he doesn't train in that gym East Coast, and I don't train in that gym East Coast
Oh,
anymore
excuse
either.
me.
And then that guy who was my coach, he lives in Spain now. So that
Okay, my
article
bad. My bad.
a couple of years old.
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. Um, I'd love to know at what point, because you started in 2011 jiu-jitsu, give or take, and then you were at it for 10 years until you won. You were on 2022 the ADCC. You got your black belt after 7 years. We were chatting. We met for coffee last year or earlier on the year, and we were talking about when you set up the gym. So for those that don't know, you also have a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym.
Yes, called Brew Grappling Studio in Dundrum.
And what year did you set that up in? Or
That was October 2021.
okay,
I just had like a small room upstairs in the yoga studio, and then in kind of like summer of 2022, the yoga business downstairs left, and we got the whole building. So now we have like just a building in Dundrum.
yeah, that must have been a lot of stress managing starting
Yes,
the business and
yes, business starting business is quite stressful, but thankfully I have lots of good people around me, and we have like staff and stuff as well that kind of keep things tipping over, because I could not do this on my own. It's people only ever show the kind of like fruits of their labor on social media, but you don't see all the absolute grind of having to deal with, like, yesterday there was like a leak in the gym from the rain, and just, all this kind of stuff where you're fighting a constant battle against life to keep things afloat. But all in all, it's good though.
yeah. That's great. You set up in 2021 and then had that such big success in 2022 onwards. Was there a correlation there, or was it just happened that?
Maybe I think the kind of like novelty of changing up my routine of training, of having to also coach people as well, helps quite a lot. I find that being surrounded by other people who are good athletes, and then being able to see in them what I think they need, is usually a good reflection of what I actually need. So that helps, just being, having a room where I get to see people kind of from the perspective of sometimes coaching, that lets me kind of think, okay, if I wanted this person to be as good as possible, what would they need, what resources they need, and then I can reflect that back on myself and being like, well, actually I probably need those resources too. because now, like in the gym, especially now that I'm injured, like we have a lot of guys who would be high level MMA fighters. Just a lot of people come through now because obviously grappling translates a lot into professional MMA. So in my spare time now, where I can't fully train, I'm on the sidelines just kind of coaching, and it's nice. It's a nice change of pace. But I always think that kind of like novel stimulus of changing your routine can help for discovering new things. So I think when in 2021, when I opened up the gym, it just kind of changed things up just enough where I was like, okay, I need to add this in, I need to add this in, I need to change this, and then the kind of new environment, I think, helped me a lot.
Yeah, definitely. There's something we said, I think, about one, changing your routine, and two, new environments. Do you go out of your way to change your routine now, or do you go out of your way to get into new environments?
Generally, no, but I should. No, I try and keep some degree of novelty in terms of like training all the time. Just something I think is like, if you ever want to actually develop or get better at something, you have to add in novel stimulus to be able to make progress. It's like in the gym, if you adapt to a certain exercise, you'll eventually just peak in terms of your strength at that exercise until you start to add in novelty to be able to find different stimulus that's going to help you progress. So I think just in terms of like competitive endeavors, having novel experiences that change your environment, change people you're around, and also force you to have to look at things in a different perspective is always good for development. Like, I don't think it's ever not good.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I'd love to know as well, with the business that started in 2021, that was during a global pandemic, was not, or
It was right at the tail end. So there was I think there was like a lockdown, or like a soft kind of lockdown a couple of weeks after we'd opened, but it didn't affect things too much. Maybe it even helped because people wanted to get back out and about, and the new facility.
yeah, you must have plenty of time to reflect during that. And were you training it from home, or were you doing some training outside in the backyard, or it's a park, or?
I trained kind of normally throughout. Well, actually, I had a back injury for a while. I had like a herniated disc in my lower back, so there was a couple of months where I couldn't actually train while I was rehabbing that. But then, yeah, I just went about training as normal because, like, I don't know, life went on.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
perceived.
yeah. And I'd love to know a few different things about the business side. Did you have a mentor when you were doing it, or did you just do it off your own research, setting up a BJJ gym?
So before I had the gym, I used to work in tech companies, and I had like a little corporate wellness business where I provide them with jiu-jitsu classes for as part of their like corporate wellness program. Obviously, once COVID came about, that absolutely just was gone, and it still hasn't even really returned. Like, people haven't really returned to the office yet in any kind of full-time way. I had a lot of mentorship when I was younger, especially. And I was like between, so I probably started doing that in 2015. So what's that, like 10 years ago? So I was like 20, I was like 21 maybe. So I remember, especially around then, a lot of people, when they'd hear that I was trying to pursue entrepreneurship, who'd done it themselves already, would always just take me under their wing, like just help me out, like bring me out for coffee, just explain how to do a lot of different things. So throughout the years, I had so many different people help me just to learn like absolute basics of business, like just such incredibly basic things that you just don't learn in school that you need to know to be able to not only run a business, but also like scale it a little bit as well. So you're not the person doing all the work all the time, because at the end of the day, it's, you want to work on the business, not in it. So there's that.
Yeah, and that's a great line. Sort of want to working. You said you want to work in the business, not on it, or the opposite way
On the
around?
business, not in it.
On the
It's from
business.
it's a quote from a book called The E-Myth.
The E-Myth. Yeah. There's yeah, who's the author of that again? There's I forget the name of
I
it.
have no idea. Some American guy. I can't remember.
Yeah,
It'll come to
yeah.
me.
Is there one thing you learned from the transition from starting in business and when you're doing the corporate wellness program? Is there one thing that you'd maybe share with someone that's maybe getting into corporate wellness or starting a corporate wellness business?
Yeah, one of the best things I heard first was say yes to every opportunity, um, and just say yes to everything. Basically, like, just anytime somebody says that you want to do this, you want to do that, just say yes, because you never know who you'll meet or what you'll come up with. Now, obviously, as time goes on, you have to be a bit more decisive. There's sometimes things where you have to pass up opportunities, but at the beginning, especially, that's such a big um, help because a lot of like business, especially if you're trying to trade with large companies, it's all about networking. It's not obviously having a good quality product and having some business acumen in terms of not getting yourself burdened with huge amounts of debts and not being able to, manage your cash flow is important. But yeah, just like establishing a network of people that you can reach out to help you, and also that will pass opportunities on to you, is such a big initial component in getting started in anything, but especially in business. So yeah, probably one of the best pieces of advice I got at the very start was I remember it was a guy who actually had a corporate wellness business doing something exactly what I want to do. And I was like, can I have a coffee with you? And I sat down, and just that was the thing he said to me. It was like, say yes to everything. So yeah, I'd reiterate that.
And yeah, and thank you for sharing, by the way, Sam. And do you find yourself saying no to a lot of things now because I'm assuming you get a lot of opportunities with the.
Yeah, well, there's a quote I like. It says there's 3 types of deals. There's good deals, bad deals, and too difficult to figure out. And you only want to take the good deals. So that's kind of my philosophy on it.
Yeah, the too difficult to figure out one's probably a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, no, you just want the good deals, and that's it. Simple as.
Yeah, yeah. And I know I'm kind of maybe digging a bit here, but for you, is it something that's simple, or is it something that's just too good to not say no to, or an offer, or?
In terms of, yeah, well, like, I don't know, trust your instincts is usually what I go for. I just really like the idea of like business should be simple. Like trading with people should be done on the basis of trust and simplicity, as opposed to trying to nitpick or write things out or figure stuff out like that. That quote, there's good deals, bad deals, and deals are too difficult to figure out. I think it's from Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger. It's one of the 2 guys who ran Berkshire Hathaway, the investment company in the States. And I always like that philosophy of like just keeping things very, very simple. You can have as many opportunities come by as you want, but you only have to take the ones you really think that are good. So yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't mind me asking, when the corporate wellness then to setting up your own gym, did your mindset have to shift in business?
To a degree, yeah. Well, like when you're trading with I had like some of the biggest companies in the world as clients. So dealing with them is like just absolute professionalism from A to B. So trying to essentially adapt and build a product that has like mass appeal to consumers is a little bit of a challenge to figure out, because you have to factor in as well that you obviously want to create something that's priced in a way that's attractive, but also actually pays enough back to you that you can pay the bills and hopefully hire people and pay them well. So trying to learn like how to come to terms with the product market fit, and then actually building systems within a company that has a physical operation is quite a challenge to learn at the start. And it's fun thing as well. It's like it never ceases. There's always something new. There's always going to be a new problem you're going to have to solve. And also, it's like you can't always be the one to solve it, because you might not be there the whole time, or have other things to do, or have other priorities at the time. So it's like you have to be able to build systems that you can then put people in the system so that they can maintain the standards that you hope for. So that's probably the biggest transition that I would have noticed, and it's also one of the most rewarding and one of the most fun, because it is like hard work, like writing out large documentation for standard operating procedures and the likes is no fun, but it does pay dividends. So there's that, and also the people that take responsibility for those systems as well. That's essentially what makes the economy go around.
Yeah, yeah. And business, and I'd love to know, how do you manage recovery and training with operating a business? Is there a schedule, or a daily or a weekly, monthly schedule, or?
Yeah, well, like I'm mostly focused on athletic pursuits always. That's my number one thing. Well, like if you're to weigh up business versus professional athletic endeavors, I'm always going to take the jiu-jitsu over that, like competing and whatnot. I oftentimes spend like long periods of time out of the country, so the way that I manage it is, well, obviously I have other people around me that help, and then I just have like processes designed to ensure that the things that need to be done get done, and that it's very straightforward and simple for people to see how to do. And then obviously try and pay them as much as possible to get the best quality work, to get the best quality people, you know. So that's kind of how I manage it. And look, if it scales, it scales. If it doesn't, it doesn't. At the end of the day, if I can, you know, support the lifestyle that I want with a company that's profitable, that employs people in a meaningful way, you know, that's what I think really matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's fascinating that you said athletic pursuits first, because I suppose that's what you got into this thing in the first place, was the love of the sport.
Yeah, exactly. And when I was younger, I used to do way more work in the corporate stuff. And then after a while, I was like, what's the point in doing this? Because eventually my body's going to break down. I won't be able to train as much as I want to anymore anyway. So I might as well delay that until delay the kind of like intense business drive until, you know, my body's just finished and I'm totally unable to, you know, compete properly anymore. And then I'll look after the business then.
Yeah, yeah, but with all the S&C, you never know. You may be able to go longer than you think, or
You never know. Well, there's a limit to you know, competitive endeavors, especially. It's like a lot of people take steroids on jiu-jitsu and I don't, so you know, that'll eventually be a
yeah,
cutting off factor at some stage, but I still have another couple of good years in me, so
yeah, yeah. And I don't know if I'm going to get into the subject too much, but is that a thing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Is it a problem, or is it just a thing that people do? Or
oh yeah, steroids are really common. It's not like there's no, or some tournaments have like testing, but just because of the size of the size of the overall pool of competitors, like it's not necessarily that big of a sport. There's like, yeah, a fair bit of doping going on, and yeah, the like testing regimes aren't randomized in the same way as they would be in other sports. And also as well, there's some like tournaments that explicitly don't test either. So it's it's generally a fairly rampant problem. But at the end of the day as well, there is like a cost benefit to it too, because when you finish competing, you will still have to live with the consequences of whatever kind of like damage you may do to yourself by disrupting your hormones and whatnot. So yeah.
yeah,
And it's cheating as well, in case anyone's unclear about that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I suppose there's probably listeners that maybe aren't familiar with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or yeah, or even steroids in that fact. And yeah, it's fascinating. I'd love to know. It says where to watch you: flow, grappling, profile, matches, breakdowns, interviews, Instagram, Sam McNally, BJJ, training, updates, competition results, personal blog, insightful reflections on matches, strategy, and mindset. Are those all correct, or is there anything you?
Yeah, Instagram, the internet. Wait, Ryan, did you chat GPT all of this? That's
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, that's
Why is
like
it wrong?
no, it's mostly correct. Yeah,
Okay,
the
perfect. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I just looked you up in ChatGPT. I found the easiest way to get all your information in one, because I was trying to. Yeah, yeah, just find information on one place.
wow, the AI knows me.
Yeah,
To a
yeah, it
degree.
does. It seems to. Yeah, it's not the paid version. I just have the free version. So I've tried different ones as well. I've tried Gemini and Perplexity. I've heard is doing quite well in India. So I downloaded that to. I think it was like number one on the App Store. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that in India. So I downloaded that to see what it was like. But yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. But the one last thing that says, fun fact, he's not just a competitor. McNally writes detailed technical blogs breaking down techniques and concepts from high level matches. His blog is a favorite among serious grapplers looking to improve their game from a tactical lens. Is that something you set up while you were when you started Brazilian? Sorry, I don't mean to interject. When you started Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, or
No, I used to like write a fair few blog posts just about like training and whatnot, to try and essentially market myself. I don't even know if they're still on the internet. They probably are somewhere. But yeah, that's probably what that's referencing. Yeah, I would have done a good few kind of like just like general blog posts about training and competing and kind of like preparing for things and whatnot. So
yeah, 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 and a YouTube series as well. I think I remember seeing videos you were putting up on Instagram or was on YouTube, and
yeah, like instructionals and whatnot. Yeah, like I'd try and post instructional clips online, and then as well, like have like paid courses and whatnot on the internet for people to buy and learn from me.
That's great. Yeah. Would you are those videos for beginners as well? For example, like my godson, could he be able to watch? He just getting into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or would it be a bit more advanced?
It's kind of more advanced. It's usually like trying to like capitalize on specific niches at the time that are prominent in like competitions, you know. So that's kind of like that'll be a part of like how to try to make money from the sport, is being able to create instructionals and then win things. And then when people see you from winning things, directing them to buy your instructional that teaches them how to do the things that you did to win the competitions that they watched. So
Yeah.
it's usually more kind of advanced.
Yeah, it's part of your digital marketing strategy. So, you know, it's for your business as well, is it? Or
yeah, pretty much.
Nice, brilliant. Well, I don't want to keep you too long, Sam. We've chatted for 45 minutes, and I'd love to know, is there anything that's top of mind for you you'd love to share that we haven't covered, or?
No, not really. Just thanks for having me on, Ryan, and keep on keeping on. Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Nice.
One last thing, if you were to go back to give some words of wisdom to younger Sam, what would you say?
I would say, what would I say? I would say stay focused, stay disciplined. Hard work beats everything else, and yeah, maybe brush my teeth more as well.
Why is that? Is that you know, some
Feelings, you know, I'm like, oh, I should have brushed my teeth more when I was younger, but look.
Yeah. Brilliant, Sam. And people can find you in your main channel on Instagram or the business online, or
Instagram, Sam McNally. You can find the gym, Brew Grappling Studio in Dundrum. It's just on the
Dundrum,
internet.
in Dublin, Ireland, if anyone's out listening, and outside of Ireland as well.
For the global audience. This is going to 1 million people, yeah?
Hope so.
Nice.
Wait and see. You're too kind to me, Sam. Wait and see. Yeah. But yeah, brilliant. Thanks for coming on, Sam. And I'm sure people will go hopefully search you up. And yeah, if they want to get started in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, shall they contact you directly as well?
Yeah, or go find Brew Grappling. Just look up Brew Grappling Studio. You'll figure it out.
Perfect. BRU Grappling?
Yep. BRU Fada. Brew Pressure Irish.
The Irish roots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks, Sam.
Alrighty. Thank you, Ryan.
See you
Bye.
later. Thanks.
Cheers.